Luxembourg sous la présidence du haut représentant Joseph Borrell. Le commissaire Oliver Várhelyi participe également au nom de la Commission. Les ministres discutent des conséquences de l'invasion de l'Ukraine par la Russie sur la sécurité alimentaire mondiale, ainsi que sur les développements les plus récents dans la Corne de l'Afrique. Ils auront aussi un déjeuner de travail avec le ministre des Affaires étrangères de l'Égypte pour échanger sur la coopération entre l'Union européenne et l'Égypte. Une conférence de presse avec le haut représentant est prévue suite à cette réunion, et donc nous vous prions comme d'habitude de garder vos questions sur tous ces sujets pour cette conférence de presse. Then, I have a housekeeping point for you. As of tomorrow, we will switch to an upgraded version of the Interaxio platform. You will find minor changes in the interface, but the basic functioning remains the same. The new version will provide you with better audio and video quality. And in particular, there will no longer be the echo of my voice when your mic stays switched on. At least that's what Jonathan, our Interaxio guru, has promised me. So hopefully that will work. And finally, I would like to welcome a group of Italian journalists from Liguria who are visiting us today. We're glad to have you here. Benvenuto. That is all for announcements of the day. We can start taking your questions.
Yes, it is a question on 5th of 55. There will be a vote in the European Parliament in some hours, actually. And with new compromise, I guess the Commission knows very well what is the content of these compromises. And do you have a reaction from the Commission? I know that you wait for the vote, of course, but it's clear anyway that there is an effort to strengthen the ambition of the packages that are voted. Do you have any reaction that you can give us before the vote?
Well, Lorenzo, giving you a reaction before the vote is really asking for a lot. What is clear is that obviously we are following indeed the developments during the co-legislative process with a lot of interest and a lot of attention, and we certainly welcome the fact that Parliament has been working hard in order to come to a position, and that a vote is indeed going to take place, which we hope will then allow the trilogues to start quite soon. And that, we think, is and would be a positive development, since Fit for 55 is, as you mentioned, a very important file, and that every step that we take down the road of coming to agreements on the different pieces of legislation is very welcome. I'm speaking under the control of Tim, who nods his approval with my response. Any other questions on Fit for 55? Sort of? Go ahead.
Hi, Alice Tidy, Euronews. My question relates to the announcement this weekend by Germany saying that it would join Czechia, Bulgaria, Romania, Italy, and Poland in increasing their use of coal to mitigate the impact of lower Russian gas deliveries. So, how does this fit with Repower EU and Fit for 55? And the second part of my question, they've all stressed that this would be temporary. I'm guessing this depends, though, on whether or not we can find alternative sources of gas. The Commissioner said multiple times that it is in talks with other countries. Can we get an update on those talks and whether deals are coming?
Thank you very much. Tim?
Yeah, so I mean, in terms of how this fits in with Repower EU, you might see, if you look into the fine print or into the details of the Repower communication, that it does acknowledge that some of the existing coal capacities might be used longer than initially expected, and it also refers to nuclear power and domestic gas resources as some of the solutions that we have for dealing with interruptions to Russian fossil fuels. As you know, there's really kind of three pillars on which Repower stands. So one is finding those alternative sources of fossil fuels for the time that we need those during the transition. and then the other is accelerating renewable energies. We've proposed to increase the target for renewables to 45% of our energy mix by 2030. We've also proposed to increase the energy efficiency target for 2030 from 9 up to 13%. So there's those three pillars that we're working on. I think in terms of these announcements that we've seen over the weekend, you have to see those in that context. What we have in mind is that we know that the energy mix and the plans of member states will adjust slightly, because we are in an unexpected situation where we've decided to end our dependency on Russian fossil fuels. Now, this is something that came up when we first presented the repower plans back in March, and the Executive Vice President was very clear on this, saying that what we're bound to is the European climate goals, and we have that target for 2030, reducing our emissions by at least 55%. So, any variations have to come within that legal framework, and I think we'll see different member states reacting in different ways. To your question about the alternative energy supplies, you would have perhaps seen last week that we signed a trilateral memorandum of understanding with Israel and with Egypt to increase the supplies of LNG, of gas that would come from Israel and other producers in the region via Egyptian LNG infrastructure to Europe. We have an agreement with the United States, and we continue to be in talks with lots of other partners, Norway, Azerbaijan, Qatar, to give just a few examples. So, it's a big lift, and it's a lot of work that we need to do, and it's very high political priority, and we're pursuing this through all those different channels.
Thank you very much. Any other questions on energy-related topics for Tim? Let me first go to David. David, tu as une question sur... We have a question on the energy file.
Yes, thank you very much, David Carretta. In the European Council conclusion of the end of May, the leaders invited the European Commission to explore the feasibility of introducing temporary import price caps where applicable. I'm wondering how is going this file, if you are exploring, and when we can expect some result from the European Commission. Thank you.
Yeah, David, on that, as you say, it's a mandate that we got from the last European Council meeting, so less than 3 weeks ago, for us to explore that issue with our international partners. That's obviously something that we are continuing to do, and as soon as we have anything more to communicate, we will do. But for today, I don't have anything to say on that.
Thank you. Lorenzo.
Yes, there is another issue which is connected to this, is the taxonomy issue. The Parliament is voting on this at the beginning of July, but taxonomy, as the Commission has proposed, includes gas and nuclear, but concerning gas, there is an issue, because we are talking of replacing the gas from Russia with LNG, but LNG, according to the Greens, would not be allowed in the framework, even in the framework of this taxonomy for gas that the Commission has proposed. So my question is, if the taxonomy, even if the taxonomy passes like it is now, which the Parliament could stop actually in 1 week, but even if it passes like it is now, would LNG qualify for taxonomy under those conditions? Because the life cycle of LNG is very different from the gas coming from pipeline, and very often is produced with fracking. So would the taxonomy cover this gas, the gas that is replacing the gas from Russia?
Yeah, thanks. That would be more a question for Dan, in fact, and for Tim, but let me make something very clear, Lorenzo. You say, would LNG be allowed? Taxonomy is not about authorizing.
Not under taxonomy.
But this is really important. We can come back to whether it fits within the taxonomy framework. But taxonomy is about providing, if you wish, a sort of label, right, on different types of investments through that are made by the private sector. If I invest in this type of energy or this type of technology, do I get this label? Do I fit in the taxonomy framework or not? Yes or no? But it doesn't mean, if you don't fit, that you can't make the investment. Okay? So it has no bearing directly on the EU's capacity. And when I'm saying the EU, it's not us as institutions, it's us as, an economy, to basically purchase the amounts of the LNG that are necessary in order to cover our security of supply issues. I think this is very, very important. Then on whether LNG would be part of taxonomy or not, I can give the floor to Dan.
I think it's a very, very important point that Eric made, that taxonomy is not an obligatory tool for investment, it's a classification system, okay? And I think that's very, very important to point out at the outset. Now, of course, you know well at this point that taxonomy is very complicated, so if we need to go into the more technical details afterwards, I'm very, very happy to do so. But just a general point on LNG. So first of all, the Complementary Delegated Act, which will be voted upon in the European Parliament next month, is fully consistent with our Repower EU plan to improve our energy autonomy, including by way, of course, of increasing LNG imports while furthering our decarbonisation targets. And one point specifically on this, the Taxonomy Delegated Act is compatible with this effort, as I said, to increase liquefied natural gas in the context of reducing reliance on Russian gas. And this is because the Delegated Act covers gas facilities which could use increased LNG imports for power production, cogeneration of heat and power, and district heating, in a way that is consistent with EU climate targets. That's what I would have to say at this moment in time, but of course we can chat in more detail if you like afterwards.
Lorenzo, he just said that he's willing to chat afterwards. But
it covers the LNG facilities. So it is the facilities, not the LNG itself, but the facilities that are set up for receiving the LNG. This is what they're saying.
Yes. Okay, any other questions for us on energy or taxonomy? That is not the case, so we move on to other issues we might have today. Any other questions for us?